In this video, we'll replace a rear wheel carrier assembly on this BMW E90 328, and this is part of a series of videos on this car where I'm trying to bring it back to life. This is how I found the car. I've since got it back up and running, and we're going to continue that work right now. Now, I should mention this job is easy for me because I have a lift, but this is totally doable with a jack and some jack stands. Now, in a previous video, I noticed some inner tire wear and how this wheel hub here had play in it. I replaced the hub bearing itself, but I found out that the carrier assembly itself was bad and not the bearing. So now it's all coming back out and I'm going to replace the entire thing. First thing is take this wheel off, and remember, if you have a locking wheel stud, to find that key before you start. We're going to disassemble this section here. So the first thing is get your hex head socket. Make sure it's nice and clean, this little retaining screw. You might even have to push it in a little bit, and I like breaking this out by hand first before you use anything powered. Zip that off so we can get this rotor out. Next, remove the plastic caps that are protecting the guide pins of this caliper, what holds the caliper to the caliper bracket. Little plastic caps. Use a pick if you can't get it off by hand. These guide pins have a hex head on them, so you'll use that same socket set to get up in there. Make sure it's fully seated. Break them by hand first before you use any kind of power tool. Before taking the caliper out, you're going to have to remove this little retaining clip, this spring clip. Just put a screwdriver in there and pry it up and it'll pop out. And then make sure when you pull this off, you don't let it hang by the hose. I use these little brackets that are made specifically for it. Zip tie, anything will work. Just keep that thing suspended. With the caliper to the side, we can remove the caliper bracket. 2 bolts hold that in. It's easier to get it from behind. Again, crack it first by hand before using any kind of powered tool. Next, you pull the rotor off. Now, I just worked on here, so I know it's loose, but usually this thing is on there, so you might want to soak it with some PB Blaster, give it a couple of hits with a hammer to pull this thing off. Here you can see how that hub still has play, even though the bearing is brand new. And the issue is on the carrier side. 36mm 12-point socket is what you're going to want to use to get this axle nut off. Now, I don't have these because I just recently took these off, but you most likely will have these tangs on the axle nut that have been pressed in to stop it from backing out on its own. So you're going to need a screwdriver or a pry bar or a chisel to tap those open to be able to get this out. I'm using an impact to zip this off. If you don't have an impact, you can, while the car is still on the ground and the wheel is on, take off the center cap and break it by hand. Come around back and remove that speed sensor. Hex head socket, it's going to get in there and take that off. Make sure it's fully seated. Sometimes those things are rusty. You don't want to strip it out. If you do strip it, you can use the next size up Torx bit that will kind of bite into the metal and pull that off. But this one's going to come off easy because I just worked on it. Pull that sensor out, get it out of the way. There's a cable here for the emergency brake that we're going to have to disconnect. So basically, we're going to break this down like we're doing some new brake shoes. You're going to pull these springs out. You can use a pick or a special tool for it. As long as you can grab it and pull it and pop it out, that's fine. You're going to have hex head, these little spring clips that hold the shoes kind of in place a little bit. You want to put that hex head socket in there. You want to push in on the spring a little bit so that you can spin it, give it a half a turn, and it'll pop these things out. Now, what holds this cable in place is this little clip here that's held down by a hex head bolt. The cable itself comes through the assembly with like a grommet, and it'll likely be stuck in there pretty good, so you'll have to wiggle it pretty hard to get it out. But first things first is take off this clip. Hex head socket in there, break it by hand, pull it off. You see the clip has this circular cutout that holds the cable in place, but pull that out of the way. When pulling this out, you don't want to grab on the cable, the plastic part itself, but there is a metal bushing at the end of this, and that's where you can grab onto. And what it worked for me was a pair of needle nose pliers, grabbing the metal section and just prying this out. Now again, I just worked on this recently, so this axle is not really seized in there. In fact, I'm able to push it just with my thumb right now. But there's a good chance that yours will be in there pretty good, so you might need an air hammer or an axle puller set to break this and push this through a little bit. Once you've got all that taken apart, you're ready to come around back and start removing the nuts and bolts that hold the hardware onto this knuckle. You've got a few things to remove up here. You've got 2 upper control arms, you've got the lower control arm, the track bar, you've got a trailing arm, and you've got a stabilizer bar link. Here I'm starting with the track bar, and this is threaded just directly into the knuckle itself. You can just zip that out. Next, I'm moving over to this trailing arm. Now, you're going to need sets of sockets and ratchets for this. Some of these are just bolts that go right into that spindle, right? But you're going to have a couple that have nuts and bolts like this part right here. You want to hold the back so it doesn't spin and zip the bolt out. Don't forget that this is all under pressure. You've got that spring there, so some of these parts will move on you when you loosen them up. So for this next part here, I'm going to be putting some pressure upward on with the jack just to keep that stabilized as I break this open. But once you break this bolt free and zip this out, you should be able to get this lower control arm bolt out and then release some of that pressure off easily with the jack so that you don't have that spring pushing down on this so hard. The upper control arm that's towards the front of the vehicle is a little tricky to get to just because where it is. What I found worked was a deep socket, a wobble extension, and bringing in my ratchet from and another extension, and bringing the ratchet in from the side to get in there, break that free, and back that out. Next, the stabilizer bar link comes out. At the top, it's a nut. The stud goes through that bar link. You might need an open end to hold the backside so it doesn't spin, and the bottom is just threaded directly into the knuckle. What I did was I left one of the upper control arm bolts in for last. Once I zipped that out, this entire thing was going to come out. A new knuckle from BMW is about $800, but I was able to get this entire piece here off of eBay for a good price. With that off, now's a good time to inspect your components. Look for the normal signs of wear, and this is a good time to replace these parts. Mine need to be replaced, obviously, but I'm going to leave them like that for now because I just want to get this car back on the road. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the top, kind of like at an angle, get that axle through the bearing, making sure the splines line up and not to nick those up, and then getting at least one bolt, that top control arm, getting one of those bolts in, careful not to cross-thread it. And once that's there, holding it in place, I can start to put everything else together. Because the trailing arm is held with a nut and bolt, I found it easiest to start with that. I could pick up and manipulate this knuckle so that I can get that bolt through and at least get the nut, I should say, started on the other side. Coming around to the other side, I'm going to push up on this knuckle. You got to use a good amount of force. You just want to make sure you line that up properly because the worst thing you can do here is cross-thread one of these bolts. But I'm going to pick this knuckle up, get that lined up, and once again, get this bolt just started. We're going to come back and torque everything down once all the connections are made. Next, this stabilizer bar link is going to go in there. I'm going to thread that through. The bottom has a single bolt that goes through it and goes into the knuckle, and the top has the stud that receives the bolt and goes through that stabilizer bar. I just want to get this started because it's going to be easier for me to tighten this up later on if I at least have these in place. That forward upper control arm is the trickiest one, and what I found was to just again hold that knuckle up in place, making sure that the arm, the control arm and the knuckle are lined up so that when you thread this in, you don't cross thread. Once you get it started by hand, you can get in with an extension from the other side. You can actually pull that stabilizer bar down a little bit, get it out of the way, and just zip that down to get it ready to be torqued later on. Now before we get that lower control arm together, we're going to have to get this axle pulled through. It's kind of stuck here right here, so I'm going to use this puller. I'll put a link to this below. These work great, especially for the BMWs. The socket is a very thin-walled socket. It's thin enough to be able to be threaded on to the end of that axle, but then act as a puller to just pull that entire unit through. Once you feel it bottom out, you can get the axle nut on. Then I'm going to go back down and finish connecting this lower control arm. But before I do that, I'm just going to give it a quick hit with the impact to drive that axle nut on. With the major components connected, all I have left is this lower control arm. I'm going to have to use a jack to raise it up a little bit so I can line up the holes, get that bolt through the lower control arm, through that knuckle, and get the nut on the other side started. Don't forget to reinstall the speed sensor, making sure that that cable is routed the way it originally was, using that hex head bolt to zip it down. To finish this up, we're going to torque down all these components. Now it's very important that this suspension is at ride height or as close to ride height as possible when torquing these things down. I'm on a lift. I don't feel like bringing it all the way back down, putting tire on it and taking measurements. I'm just kind of eyeballing it here. Again, this is just a kick around car, but you want to make sure that you are at ride height. An easy way to do that is to take measurements before you get the wheel off the car. You could take center hub to your wheel well and then make sure that that's equal when you're doing your torquing down. For me, I'm coming up a tiny bit here, eyeballing it, and we're going to torque this down. Pretty much everything back here is 100 Newton meters, except for that bottom control arm, or sometimes called camber link, that big wishbone piece that has the large nut and bolt. That's 165 Newton meters. And also some of these are plus 90, so we're going to go through that now. This track bar here, that's going to get 100 Newton meters. This lower control arm, you're going to want that to be 165 Newton meters. And remember, this is the nut and bolt, so you're going to have to hold the backside while torquing it down. This control arm here, that gets 100 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. And then right next to it, you've got this other control arm, which is sometimes called, I believe, a traction strut. That's also 100 Newton meters plus 90 degrees. This trailing arm, 100 Newton meters. It's a pretty tight fit trying to torque down a stabilizer bar link, but if you can get in there, 58 Newton meters is what you're going to want to be set at to torque down to the stabilizer bar, and 21 Newton meters if you can get down below, torquing down to the wheel carrier. What's left now is threading that emergency brake cable through the wheel carrier and reconnecting it all. Now, because I got the wheel carrier from a junk vehicle, it was all corroded looking like this here, so it was hard to get out. I actually had to use like a punch from the front side to knock it out. So I came back in with one of these reamers that I normally would use for brake calipers just to clean up that hole there inside. Once I did that, I could get this here through the backside. I made sure it was fully seated before putting the clip in. Coming from behind, I'm going to use a pair of angled needle nose to make sure that it's fully seated, make sure it's pressed in all the way. Then I'm going to come in with this little bracket, make sure it fits into the slot of this metal bushing that's at the end, and then spinning it down with that hex head bolt. I should note that I did bend the dust shield here a bit, just to give myself some extra room during reassembly, but before I put this all back together, I will get that back into shape, making sure it's nice and straight so it does what it's supposed to do, and of course, so it's not scraping against the back of the rotor. And this last part here is kind of tricky. You're going to reassemble this assembly here the way you would if you were replacing brake shoes. However, you do have to thread that cable back through this parking brake actuator or expanding lock, whatever they call it. And it's kind of hard to see it, so I'm going to put this picture here. You've got to pull this cable, the end of the cable out. You don't want to pull it too much because you don't want to trigger any issues on the car side. But you want to pull this cable out just enough to be able to thread it behind this claw, this open spot on this actuator. Once you get it behind there, you can close it shut and lay it flat. Once you lay it flat, you set the shoes into the grooves of this actuator. And once you attach the springs back together, it'll keep it closed. That's what gets expanded when you pull up your emergency brake, and then this is done. All that's left now is reassembling in the reverse order, and this job is done. That video is next because this car is getting new brake rotors and pads, so you can stay tuned for that. I like making these videos to show how easy it is to do some of these things on your own, and of course to save a ton of money while doing it. I'll put links below to any of the tools or the items that I've used, and if you use my links, I will earn a whole 17 cents.